I grew up in the mosque wearing my head wrapped with my grandmother in the back, but I also went to vacation Bible school during the summer. So I grew up in houses that had debates about religion. They would start out friendly, but people are very attached to their truth and what they believe. And so they would turn usually into some heated debates.
Amani channel. This is Seeds of Awakening, your home for higher frequency conversations with open-minded, free-thinking individuals to help you expand your thoughts a little bit. So I have a question for you. What would you do if half your family was Christian and half your family was Muslim? Would you be tempted to follow one form of religion over another? Well, that is the quandary that my next guest found herself in. Her name is Mishijah Triplett. I'll bring her in just a second, but first, make sure you smash that like, hit that notification bell, or subscribe to the channel. Just try doing that. You'll get more content just like this. Okay, so who did Mishijah end up listening to? Who she ended up following? Let's find out right now. Let's bring her in. Talking to Mishijah Triplett. Welcome to Seeds of Awakening. Good to see you.
Hello, good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. Thanks for taking the time. So it's first of all, let's just get in your backstory. Where are you from? Where are you raised? How are you raised?
Yeah. So I am originally from Flint, Michigan. Um, I didn't necessarily grow up there. I grew up here in Atlanta, Georgia, but I went home often to Michigan and Ohio like every summer. So I have a lot of memories back in Flint, but I didn't grow up there. Um, yeah, I grew up here in Atlanta. I started with music at a very young age, just singing with my family, performing in front of my family. We used to host a lot of talent shows. That was like a big thing at all family gatherings. So I was always pushed to be very creative and to tap into that part of myself. And I didn't start taking music seriously until maybe high school. And I kind of fell off and went on to college and got my degree. And then I came back to music and I was very serious. Won money through competitions and just met the right producers. Um, and really was just able to tap into a very deep creative part of me that I hadn't always accessed. So yeah,
Do you
yeah.
play instrument?
I tried to pick up the guitar, but my instrument is my vocals.
Okay.
So it's singing. Yeah.
And how are you raised spiritually? Were you religious? Did you come from a religious family?
I did. So I come from Islam and Christianity. On my paternal side, most of them are practicing Islam. And then on my maternal side, most of them practice Christianity. So I grew up in houses that had debates about religion. That was another thing that would happen at family gatherings is the religion talk and everybody, just sharing their perspective and saying how what they know their truth is the correct truth and why it's the truth. That is a very core memory of my childhood, is just hearing about these two different religions, not necessarily Buddhism or any other ones, but mainly Christianity and Islam. And just watching as a child, I would just watch, take it all in.
Were these friendly conversations that take it, or were they kind of heated debates?
Definitely heated. Definitely heated. They would start out friendly, but people are very attached to their truth and what they believe, and so they would turn usually into some heated debates.
Hmm.
Hmm.
How did that affect you in terms of which way did you sway? Did you sway towards one faith over the other, or were you just kind of neutral in the middle, kind of just observing?
Definitely more of an observer. Um, I I think I learned at a very young age that people are, you believe what you believe. And he says what he believes is truth. And he's so passionate about it, but so is he. And so I didn't, I didn't take on either side. I grew up in the mosque wearing my head wrapped with my grandmother in the back. But I also went to vacation Bible school during the summer, and I was in the kiddie church and all the things. So I never felt, I will say, I never felt connected deeply to either of them, to either the church or the mosque, to Christianity or Islam. I never felt like this is my truth. But I honored them and I understood that they were pathways for people to tap into the divine and get wisdom. So I respected them.
Why do you think you didn't necessarily gravitate towards one over the other? Do you think there's a reason for that, or was it just because you just didn't believe in either one?
Um, I think my soul just um, understood a higher truth at a very young age. And so I didn't need to attach to either or.
Ooh, let's get
Um,
into that. So, what is the higher truth that you kind of understood at a young age?
that there is the divine, very simple. I always understood that relationship to be very personal. So I'm not a debater of religion or belief because I know my relationship with the divine is very personal. And I know that you have to have eyes to see. And sometimes programming or your life upbringing can block off things for you. And that's for you, that's your path. But I was always very strong in what I knew. I had these encounters as a child that kind of shaped my, like, okay, I know that there's something else because did that happen to anybody else? I just had these moments to just let me know, like, okay, there's something else. So, yeah.
Could you explain sort of going into those moments? What did you experience?
Yeah. So there are like three key moments in my adolescence and childhood that I remember. The first was I believe I was in maybe the fourth or fifth grade, and I shared a bunk bed with my cousin at the time. And it was late at night. We were asleep. I was on the bottom bunk, and the bed was situated right on a window. And so I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden, I stopped breathing, and I feel my body I feel not even my body. I feel my spirit rise out of my body. And there's this light right outside my window that I'm just going into. I'm just headed into this light. And then all of a sudden I feel myself jolt back into my body and I'm grasping and gasping for air. So that's moment number one. I never understood why that happened. I was like, what I never understood what that meant, but I remember it very clearly.
Was it an out of body experience?
Um, I was very much, it was a full body experience. It
Okay.
wasn't like, something in my mind or a dream. I've had different moments with dreams. That one, I remember just coming back and like grasping for air in this physical body.
But it
Um,
wasn't like you went outside your body and saw yourself. Some people have experiences where they kind of go outside their body and kind of see themselves, look down at themselves sleeping. It wasn't like that, though, was it?
no, no, yeah.
Okay.
That was the first experience. The second one, I got into a fight at school. I was in middle school and I got into my very first fight. And when I came home, I had to leave, come home early. And when I came home, I was in my room by myself and I was changing. And I just heard a voice say, "This is not why we came here." And I was like, whew, it like jolted me. It gave me chills, like, whoa, understood. I very clearly understood that. Um, and then the third moment was we were headed to a family function. I was in the back seat of my dad's truck. My mom was in the passenger seat. My dad was driving. And I was in trouble for something. I don't remember what happened. But I remember a voice coming to me and asking me, do you want to go with the truth or do you want to not go with the truth? Which do you want to do? And I chose truth. And I understood that I was wrong in the situation, whatever had happened, and that I needed to correct myself. And ever since then, it's always truth for me. It's a very clear and distinct energy signature with people, with things. I'm not confused by it. the truth is my North Star. And, the divine is the truth for me. So, yeah, those are the three experiences.
Did these events happen before you were like, what was the age range when these events happened? Do you remember?
The first one, I was in fourth or fifth grade. The second one, I was in middle school. And then the third one, I was in high school.
So throughout your adolescence and getting into young adulthood then,
Exactly.
did you continue to have messages sent to you, or do you continue to have communication with whatever was speaking to you?
Definitely. Definitely. I think those moments kind of prepped my consciousness for, okay, there's something else. I had a really normal childhood for, the rest of my high school career and into college. It wasn't until my Jupiter return, and I am heavy into astrology, so I'm referencing Jupiter, this planet of expansion. I was about 25 years old and maybe 24, 25. And I started having visits from my grandmother on my paternal side. Um, the first visit was just her, just acknowledging that I am on this other side. That was the first one. The second one, she told me that a new baby was coming into the family. And these visits, no words are ever spoken. It's just a meeting in
It's
this
just like
realm.
is it like feeling like telekinesis, or how
Yeah.
does okay,
Yeah, I think the transmission is definitely telekinesis, just telepathic.
telepathic, yeah, like
Yeah.
energy basically, what you're feeling or
Yeah.
sensing.
Yeah, exactly. So no words were ever spoken, but I understood she came into a dream with this beautiful baby girl that looked just like one of my cousins. And so I called him like the next morning, like, you are about to have a baby. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. And he was like, no, I'm not. Like, do not call me. What are you talking about? And a couple months later, his girlfriend was pregnant and she looked exactly like the baby girl in my dream. And so he always is like, okay, I trust you. I trust what you say, because he didn't believe me at first, but that moment kind of solidified a lot for me. Um, but during that time, I also had an astral projection experience. And nobody was in this experience but me. And I flew outside of my window and up to the realm right above Earth, literally right above Earth. It trips me out because I'm like, this has been here the whole time. I'm so confused. But it was like this transit center, a life review place where you're able to review your life and go to another place. Um, that really like jolted me awake in so many ways, and just experiencing this other quote unquote realm that was literally right above Earth, that we don't see it physically. It was an energetic thing, but that was very, very special to me and like gave me a lot of insight on other things.
So being that you kind of had this religious foundation, did you make sense of what was going on? Did you understand to be more of a spiritual experience? What did you think about how'd you reflect on or make sense of what was going on?
Yeah, I definitely felt like these were spiritual experiences, and I think that's where my sentiment of this is such a personal relationship. I can't collapse this into an argument with somebody else on their beliefs, because it is more than the mind can conceive. It would be a waste of
Mhm.
words. There are no words to be spoken about this,
Like how can you prove to me that you had these experiences, right?
right, exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. So yeah, yeah.
So what happened after? Did you have any other experiences after that, or what else happened in your life in terms of when did you get into arts or back into your music? How did this sort of parallel kind of continue on, I guess, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So my first body of work that I ever created was called Alignment. This necklace that I'm wearing says Alignment, because the way that I came into music was so divine. It was so aligned. Um, how I met people, how I connected with people, and how we created songs together. Um, but on the flip side of that, it was very beautiful. All of the things, the magic of it all, the excitement of experiencing these realms and all the things. But I also experienced contrast after that very high. You know, I experienced the opposite lows, very low lows, and feeling severed from my connection to the divine, feeling very alone and in the wilderness, and not feeling like I'm receiving messages, and, you know, doubt that none of that was real. That did not happen. Um, and so that in itself was its own medicine and its own moment of growth, because there's a saying that's like, you know, somebody may be like, God, where are you? Where did you go? And it's like, I didn't move. Who moved? You know, I didn't go anywhere. And so just experiencing contrast and the total opposite of this magic and all the things, um, it really, really blessed my consciousness, I guess is the word I'll use, to know that I'm never far. I'm never away from the divine, ever.
Never alone, right?
Never alone, never alone. And so, yeah, that prompted me to write another project solely by myself. This was a very personal Saturn return project. It's called Alchemy, and just the process of transmuting emotions and experiences and growing and evolving into this next version, this more powerful, wise, refined version of myself. So yeah, my spirituality has been very parallel to the music that I've created and the art that I've created.
Let's go back to those voices, or when you're having those communications. Who did you think was talking to you? Where did you think you were getting those messages from?
Um, God, source. I was very clear on that.
Okay.
Very like, God. When I was a baby, like 5 and under, I had an invisible friend. His name was Paka. And so I used to say, "Is that Paka? Is that Paka?" I felt like Paka was spirit, was the divine. You know, as I while I was a child, kind of assimilating to being in a human body. You know, my consciousness had to collapse into this physical reality, and I know that um, I've lived many lives, and so I know that it was a lot to, okay, I'm back on earth again. And so I feel like I had a friend, a companion at a young age to just help me get comfortable here and not be so afraid.
Do you feel like
Yeah,
Paco was like a spirit guide or your higher self? What did you
absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, my mom knew who Paco was. Everybody knew who Paco was. Yeah.
Have you continued to have a relationship with him or her or whatever the entity was?
No, I think it was an iteration of God, of the divine. Um, yeah. But I
Okay.
think my childlike mind created this personality, this person, this friend. But I think that that was just God.
So what other kind of artistic ventures are you into now? Are you still into music or have you ventured off into anything else?
I am still into music. I Now I'm in a space because I think music and sound is so sacred and spiritual that I'm only creating when I'm called to. I don't just want to do music just to do music and be this big star.
Mhm.
I only want to create when I feel like there's something to be said or something to be shared. I also have a camera. I love to film and capture moments and storytell and share perspectives, even like this one, with people that I think is not mainstream. So if anyone was to ever check out my YouTube or my Instagram, you would see these moments where I've created through film and storytelling, but also sharing wisdom and love and all the things. So yeah, yeah.
Very good. So what do you think is the big picture of life and why we're here and why we're here to experience this planet right now?
I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. It's so funny when I was deciding to do this interview with you, I was like, you know, I'm still awakening. Every
Mhm.
year I am still rising. What do I know, you know? But I do think right now is a very potent time on earth. And I do think that shifts are taking place and that anybody that has incarnated here is very strong, very strong, regardless of whatever role you play, because this is such a dense energy right now
Mhm.
in general, especially if you live in the West. Um, and so I think that I would hope that a lot of us that are tapped in, that are awake to something more, are here to usher in a reality that is more conscious, more loving. I know that sounds like what everybody has been preaching for the last million years: love, love, oh, peace, love. But genuinely and truly, um, I know that I think that humans are evolving into a higher level of intelligence, like telekinesis and being telepathic, being with standing next to somebody and not speaking words, but just having a conversation. And so I know that in order to be in that reality, for that to be a norm, for this higher intelligence to take place, we have to evolve. We have to shed a lot of what we are doing that's not healthy for the planet, for our bodies, for the babies. And so I think the bigger picture is that if you're here on earth right now, if you incarnated, that you are a part of that ushering, a part of that evolution in whatever way.
Mhm. Well said, well said.
Yeah.
So how does your family like, are they still very much into Islam and into Christianity? Are they still kind of divided?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. They both have their practices and their own beliefs. Um, my mom has always created a space for, I always say she set little Mishijah up to explore, because she never chose Christianity or Islam, but she encouraged me to go to the church and then also go with your dad, wrap your hair up. You know, she encouraged both, but she never pushed anything on me. And I think that that was a part of her role as my mother. I think that's why I chose her, this person that would not try to program me in any type of way, but would allow me to naturally evolve into what I was supposed to believe. But yeah, definitely both sides of my family still practice their respective religions.
That kind of goes in my next question then. I was going to ask you if it's caused any tension with your family, but you kind of answered that question saying that your mom kind of lets you be free and kind of figure things out yourself. How about your
Yeah.
father?
Um, he's never pushed anything on me either. He is in his practice. I will say that it was so interesting growing up in the house because, you know, they fast every year. And so my dad would be fasting while we're eating. You know, I always actually respected a lot of his ritual and what he did, because to be in this world where people are like, you know, we were eating around him. There was never any like, oh, we're not going to eat. Now, we didn't have pork in the house. We would never, ever bring pork in the house. But
The
um,
pork is kind of yucky anyways.
yeah, I did grow up never eating pork. But yeah, there was a respect that I had for both, but definitely my father, and just watching him be so disciplined in his ritual.
In terms of your friends and social circle, do you associate with more spiritual folks or do you have religious friends or how do you kind of blend that together?
I love that you asked this because it's so funny. I feel like I've always connected with a lot of people that practice Christianity. Um, and a lot of times it can be a little friction because, you know, I don't necessarily believe what they believe. And I think a part of Christianity, I think a part of their practice is to bring people in to preach the gospel.
Oh yeah,
And so,
indoctrination,
yeah,
proselytize and that whole thing.
yeah. So, you know, they meet somebody like me and these are friends, you know, trying to like, but, you know, you need to know, da da da. And
Jesus loves you. Do you know that Jesus loves you and God loves you? And
yeah,
I know that. I know very well.
yeah, so just I've had the encounter with, it's the same energy signature, it's the same type of person. In high school, I had a friend that was highly Christian that would try to convince me and tell me why I was wrong and I didn't know what I was talking about. And I have friends like that to this day, but I love them so much. I'm connected with them in a different way, and so I just let them talk. I have no qualms. I grew up around family that did this, so to me, it's just like, go ahead, like let me get you the mic because it's cool.
Get
Yeah,
it off your chest. I'm just going to listen to you, take it in, and say thank you at the end of the day and believe what I want to
yeah,
believe in.
exactly. I'm so um sure in my truth that it's cool. Like, yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
So, what are you working on now? Anything specific? Any sort of projects?
I am connected with a group of individuals, highly spiritual individuals, and we are creating a community for people all around the world to just come and be their own medicine. That's our one of the things we say is to be your own medicine. But we are creating retreat style moments for people. We've been hosting bi-weekly Sunday dinners. So every other Sunday we come together and we eat, we commune, and we speak about whatever we're creating in our lives, art wise, job wise, whatever it is. There are different themes for each dinner. So I think the last one was May the Force Be Within You, just May 4th, Star
Mm-hmm.
Wars. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I am honored to be connected with this group. um, I think we're going to do some really beautiful things in the world in general. But these are sound healers, these are energy attuners, these are musicians, these are just very high vibrational people.
What other gifts have you opened up to or have revealed themselves to you at this point?
Um, I would definitely say just being able to read energy
Mm-hmm.
very clearly, especially when I don't put my own programming, thoughts, ideas. Like when I'm able to shed that, I'm very attuned to what is, be it with a person, a place, whatever. And I think I used to not honor that, but now through contrast, through life moments and struggle, I don't have a choice but to honor it and be very clear on what I see and understand because it could cost me. So yeah,
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 it sounds like you've been able to kind of step away from your ego and let kind of spirit just communicate through you or feel, sense whatever you're supposed to get, receive, or whatever message you're supposed to get out of the situation.
yeah, definitely. Literally
Mhm.
that verbatim. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
So I have a few questions that I like to ask all my guests. I guess we'll get into that now. So what would be your definition of a spiritual awakening?
Um, I think it is a moment where you access maybe a different perspective or a different level of consciousness. Um, and I think awakenings can happen. I know they happen in stages. I thought I was so woke and I just had all the answers when I was 25.
Mhm.
And then more awakenings happened. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah, there's always something else that you can learn or another perspective or something else you can add to your repertoire of information, it seems like.
right, right.
Mhm. What's the most important lesson have you learned in life so far?
Mm. I would say that we, I was going to say that but individually, we are never far from the divine. We are the divine. And that is, an even deeper topic, but we're never alone, ever. And um, may I have the eyes to see. May I not like block off anything based on my own programming and indoctrinations and beliefs. May I always be open to what the divine wants to reveal to me. I think that's been the most important thing is that I'm never far from spirit.
It seems like you're very conscious of the fact that we're indoctrinated and you just want to be a vessel that receives the information and transmits the pure message,
Yeah.
I guess. Mhm.
Yeah. I'm definitely clear on the programming that took place for sure.
There's a lot of that too,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
All right, the last question is, if you were talking to someone and they were kind of going through a spiritual awakening, what kind of advice would you have to share with them? What would you say to somebody who's going through a spiritual awakening? Maybe they're starting to question things or just look at things a little bit differently.
Um, mm, I would say to be open, to not, basically what I just said, like don't allow what you think you know to color the lens of anything. Um, and to honor the journey, whatever part you're on, however it looks, to honor it, because there's medicine in every part of the journey. Um, there's always something there are gems everywhere for you to collect and keep with you. So I would say enjoy the ride and honor the journey. Honor the journey.
Definitely, definitely. Michelle, if someone wanted to connect with you or learn more about you or just have a conversation, where should they reach out to?
So I am on all platforms at Mishijah. It's Mishijah. I have a website that houses a lot of what I've created. It's mishijah.com. Yeah, very simple. Very
Very
simple.
good. Michelle, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to share your story with us. Good luck in all your ventures moving forward.
Thank you so much. This was beautiful. I appreciate it.